When I took the night shift at the experimental lab, I thought I was prepared for anything. The lab was a sprawling complex filled with strange machinery and the hum of fluorescent lights that flickered occasionally, casting eerie shadows on the walls. I was part of a small team working on groundbreaking research, but the lab had one strict rule: always call my name 3 times before entering the restricted area. It was a safety protocol, or so I thought. One night, after a long day of experiments and data analysis, I found myself alone in the lab. My colleagues had left early, and I was tasked with running a few final tests before the weekend. The clock ticked slowly, echoing in the silence, and the only sound was the soft whirring of the machines around me. I was focused, engrossed in my work, and as the hours passed, I lost track of time. It wasn't until I glanced at the clock that I realized how late it had gotten. I had forgotten to call my name before entering the restricted area earlier in the evening. A chill ran down my spine as I recalled the warnings about what could happen if the protocol was ignored. I brushed it off, telling myself it was just superstition. After all, I was a scientist. I believed in logic and reason. As I continued my work, I felt an unsettling presence in the air. The temperature in the lab seemed to drop, and the lights flickered more frequently. I shook my head, trying to dispel the creeping anxiety that was settling in. I was alone, after all. Or so I thought. Suddenly, I heard a faint whisper, barely audible over the hum of the machines. It was my name, but it came from somewhere deep within the restricted area. Jessica. 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 The voice was soft, almost melodic, but there was something off about it, something that sent a shiver down my spine. I felt a knot form in my stomach, a mix of fear and curiosity. I stood frozen for a moment, my heart racing. The whispers continued, growing slightly louder, as if beckoning me. Against my better judgment, I found myself drawn toward the restricted area. I had always been told that there was something strange about that part of the lab, something that had been hidden away for a reason. But the voice was insistent, almost pleading, and I felt compelled to respond. As I approached the door, I hesitated. The rule echoed in my mind: always call my name 3 times. But I had already broken that rule. What harm could it do to just take a peek? I took a deep breath and pushed the door open, the hinges creaking ominously. The room was dimly lit, filled with strange equipment that I had only seen in passing. The air felt charged, electric, and I could sense that something was off. I stepped inside, and the door swung shut behind me with a heavy thud. The whispers intensified, swirling around me like a dark fog. Jessica. 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 I felt a surge of panic. I turned to leave, but the door wouldn't budge. It was as if something was holding it shut, trapping me inside. I could hear my heart pounding in my chest, drowning out the whispers that had now turned into a low, guttural growl. The shadows in the corners of the room seemed to shift and writhe, taking on shapes that were impossible to comprehend. Jessica. The voice was now right behind me, a chilling breath against my neck. I spun around, but there was nothing there, just the cold, sterile walls of the lab. I could feel my breath quickening, my mind racing as I desperately searched for a way out. The growling grew louder, reverberating through the room, and I realized with horror that it wasn't just a voice, it was something else entirely. In a moment of sheer instinct, I slammed my shoulder against the door, and it finally gave way, flinging open to reveal the hallway beyond. I stumbled out, gasping for air, and the whispers faded into the distance. I ran back to my workstation, my heart racing, and I collapsed into a chair, shaking. The next day, I reported my experience to my supervisor, but he dismissed it as fatigue and stress. I never returned to the restricted area again. The whispers lingered in my mind, a haunting reminder of what lay beyond that door. I learned my lesson the hard way: some rules exist for a reason, and some doors are better left unopened. 2 nights ago, I came home late from work, drained and barely able to keep my eyes open. I barely remember changing into my pajamas before collapsing into bed. The exhaustion washed over me, pulling me into a deep, dreamless sleep that lasted until the first rays of sunlight crept into my room the next morning. As I sipped my coffee, scrolling through my phone, I decided to clear out some old files to free up space. As I deleted old videos, one file caught my eye, a video labeled Sleep. I didn't remember recording anything like that, and I certainly didn't have any apps that would do it automatically. My heart skipped a beat, but curiosity got the better of me. I tapped on the video and watched. The screen showed a view of my bedroom, dimly lit by the soft glow of the street lamp outside. There I was, lying in bed, peacefully asleep. For a moment, I felt a wave of relief. Maybe I had set up my phone by accident. But then I noticed something that made my blood run cold. In the corner of the screen, just at the edge of the bed, a shadow moved, too slowly and deliberately to be a trick of the light. The figure was obscured, but it was undeniably there, standing over me as I slept. As I strained to see more, the faint sound of breathing filled the silence, not mine, but something close to the phone's mic, deliberate and chilling. Panic surged through me. I paused the video, my hand trembling as I checked the timestamp. The video had been recorded during the exact hours I was asleep. My mind raced, trying to recall any noise, any movement that could explain what I was seeing. But I remembered nothing, just the quiet of the night and the deep sleep that had overtaken me. How had someone been in my room without me noticing? And why would they record this? I played the video again, scanning every inch of the screen for more clues, but all I could see was that shadowy figure, standing over me, watching. The breathing continued, slow and steady, until the video abruptly cut off. Heart pounding, I tore through my apartment, searching every corner for hidden cameras, checking the locks on my windows and doors. Everything was secure, nothing seemed out of place. There were no signs of forced entry, no evidence that anyone had been there at all. It was as if the intruder had simply vanished, leaving only the video behind as a haunting reminder. With growing dread, I called the police and handed over the recording, hoping they could make sense of it. They searched my apartment, dusted for fingerprints, but came up empty-handed. No leads, no clues, just that one terrifying video. The officer in charge tried to reassure me, saying they'd keep an eye on the case, but his words did little to calm the fear gnawing at my gut. They left me with a number to call if anything else happened, but I could see the doubt in their eyes. They had no idea what to make of it either. Since that night, I've been living in a state of constant anxiety. I double-check every lock, draw the curtains tightly, and leave lights on in every room. Sleep doesn't come easily anymore. I lie awake, staring into the darkness, straining to hear any sound, any sign that someone might be there. The thought that someone was in my room, standing over me while I slept, haunts me every time I close my eyes. Now, every creak in the night, every shadow in the corner, feels like a threat. I can't shake the feeling that I'm being watched, that at any moment, whoever was in my room could come back. The video might be the only evidence, but it's enough to keep me on edge, wondering if I'll ever feel safe in my own home again.